This is Jane Low on site at the Central Business District here in Singapore. And with me today, I'm very privileged and very pleased to have Lester Lee, who is the CEO and co-founder of The Game. So Lester, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jane. Happy to be here today.
Yeah, so for our audience who are not too familiar with, GameFi and all these Web3 sort of developments, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your company and how you fit into this Web3 sort of ecosystem?
Sure. Yeah, I joined the blockchain Web3 industry since 2017. At that time, I used to be the CEO for Huobi Europe in London. Last year, I quit the exchange and we see the new trend in the GameFi field and the Web3 name come out last year. And as in Infinity.
Infinity. Okay,
yeah,
yes,
one of
right.
the earliest GameFi in 2021, they come out more than 500 GameFi projects on blockchain. So that become one of the biggest sector in blockchain field. And I remember in June, July, and August, as Infinity, the daily income go beyond from $1 million to like $15 million. A lot of traditional game studios start to develop a GameFi project. So that's why we launched our website called thegame.com. So kind of we stand for decentralized game. So
Okay, right.
So we try to be the search engine for GameFi project.
So The Game is
Yep.
aggregating information from the different GameFi projects. For
Yep.
example, how their token are performing
Yep.
and maybe some news about what
Yeah.
the different projects are. But for our audience who are not even familiar with, what is GameFi?
GameFi project.
What is GameFi?
What is the difference
What is
between
a-
the traditional game
That's
and the
right.
new game? Yeah. So I think the whole blockchain industry creates new thing. One thing is like you can share your token easily with investor or early user. So the token can stand for partially as their security or partially as a membership token or partially as some privilege in their game, right? So in traditional game, when you play a game or spend a lot of money, usually you get some gear from the game, something like that, but there's no way you can be part of the owner or part of the governor in the
Okay,
game, right?
right.
They are centralized games, so all the things controlled by the game studio, right?
Right.
So, but in the future, like Fortnite, I don't know whether in Singapore
Fortnite.
many people play Fortnite or something. If Fortnite in the future, in the Web3, they create a token and then maybe give like 10% of the token to the early user of Fortnite. And then this token can stand for, they're privileged to buy some gear from the game or even the monthly income from the Fortnite, they can get partially share. So
Right.
then a player become, maybe you can call stockholder of the game. The early player, they will feel we are also part of the game developer team also.
Right,
The game will drive by the community. So this will give the early player or the heavy player good benefit or loyalty to the game also. So in the traditional game, there's no way you can create a really close partnership or really ownership for the player.
Between the player and the game studio. Right. Okay.
So I think that's one of the keys difference between the traditional game and the new game. So,
But what I also read is that, it's not just about ownership. It's also about being able to trade your gaming assets.
yeah, gaming
between
asset.
games. Is that right or not?
I think that's right, but that point in the traditional game, we also see some game, people can still trade their asset, right? Even in the Warcraft or Fortnite or a lot of game, I think people can still trade the asset. But in traditional game, when the game shut down, all your asset disappear, right? There are no server you can log in to see your game asset anymore, right? But if the game is loading in a blockchain, even the operator shut down the game, you can still hold the NFT on the blockchain with a wallet, right?
NFT, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's another key difference.
Right.
blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that in the traditional game, the tradability is already there.
Yeah.
But the big difference with GameFi is that if the game
shut down.
goes away.
Yeah.
You still have something tangible from the game.
Yeah.
Right. There's still value.
Yeah.
Well, if people think there's still value.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, got it.
And more easily to trade. Traditional game, they are usually a closed economy inside the game. But in Web3 game or GameFi project, usually you are an open economy. That means people can deposit money in or out easily. And your asset also people can trade inside or trade outside easily. They're not controlled by the game still. So there are a lot of new parameter setting, token economy in the gaming economy platform.
Okay. Right. So what we want to do today is talk about your latest insights in what you call the 2022 quarter 2 GameFi industry report. You talk about that GameFi is the most popular crypto sort of segment with more than 13 million users, right?
Yep.
Can you tell us about who these people are? Are they young people? Are they guys? What countries, right?
In general, this 30 million should be the total address that used to interact with any GameFi project on blockchain. And I think most of them come from people who use trade Bitcoin or Ethereum. The early player, I think at least like 17 or 80% will be male, right? Because most the investor or the trader in blockchain field still male dominate. For the country, I think the demographic, most they are from Southeast China, Vietnam, Filipino, Brazil. I think Brazil is quite interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I think Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, because there are a lot of guild in Filipino, India, and Thailand. So the Filipino, they have the YGG. They organize people together.
Sorry, what is YGG?
YGG is the one of the earliest and the biggest guild in the GameFi project. So the guild mean they will have a lot of manager inside the guild, and this manager will go to the local community to talk to people, to train them to play the game, and then make money from the game.
Right, okay.
So the guild will buy the asset from the game and then rent the asset to the general people. So the people don't need to spend money in the GameFi project, but still can play the game and then make the money. And then the revenue share with the guild. So this concept called play to earn.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because in some country, their daily income is less than like $2 per day.
Correct.
So when they play a game, they can make $5 or $4. They're extremely happy.
I see.
Right?
I see.
So that's why when the Asset Infinity come out, they almost have 3 million just playing the game. In the peak time, I think the daily they can make almost like $10 to $20 per person.
Right. Okay.
So that's create a huge job market in the Philippines, Thailand at that time. So there's a lot of guild formed in 2021. So play to earn at that time, the concept is like you can help general people find a job in a GameFi project by playing a game. And this actually happened in the traditional game industry when the large game, I think Fortnite or Warcraft, they already have some guild make money from the game, but not by token or MT. GameFi project made this more straightforward.
Right.
As long as you play the game, you can return or receive some token.
Right.
And you can sell this token directly. Okay. And that's why play to earn becomes super popular in the Southeast Asia.
Because the income levels in some of these countries are so low that it's very attractive for players.
Yeah, there are a lot of population in Indonesia and Philippines.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but on demographic, there's still some other area we need to mention, like Korea. One company in Korea launched the blockchain game project MIR4. After half year, their stock price in the Korean market go up like 10 times. So they drive all the traditional game studio in Korea crazy. They see, there's a new trend.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody do the same thing.
Yeah, including the Netmarble and something, a lot of traditional famous game studio in Korea, they come in to develop the GameFi project also. And so I think Korea will be another important demographic. Another field will be Russia.
Okay.
And the Russian speaking area. They are always an important part of the Web3 area. I think usually they account for 10% to 20% of the trading volume.
The Web3, yeah.
The Web3, the trading volume of the total value holding, I think.
Interesting.
And in China and US must be the two biggest market. But unfortunately, as the policy in China, so people can only trade or buy by themselves. If you are Chinese scam studio, usually you need to move the headquarters to Singapore or to Thailand or to US or to Dubai to launch or issue in the GameFi project.
Yeah, not to talk about the policy measures in China, but I thought it was interesting that last year the government released this announcement that, they encourage young people not to play too much games, and I think there were some restrictions. But I think that's another, long topic for another day, because politics in China is very interesting nowadays. Yes, I want to talk about, how difficult is it to launch a GameFi project versus a DeFi project, because DeFi obviously is also a huge segment in the Web3 industry. So any sort of thoughts about how difficult is it to launch a GameFi versus a DeFi?
Yeah, I think the key difference is like the DeFi project is 100% is a financial instrument or financial project, right? So the founder and the coding team, they will be more important to know not just the security in the technology side. They also need to understand the security issue in the financial logic side also. If you have some default inside the trading logic or the product project, then you will cause a lot of trouble in the DeFi also. But in the GameFi side, you also will have the cyber security issue, right? Somebody break into your GameFi project and then loot all your tokens.
Axie Infinity is wow.
There's one good example when Axie Infinity, they become almost like 10 billion project, and then people need to deposit money into the game. They need to use a bridge from the Ethereum network to move the money to the rolling network, which developed by Axie Infinity. And then there's security inside the bridge. Some hacker break into it.
That's right.
They lose a lot of money. Like I say, at least a few $100 million US dollar. I think that's one thing to launch a GameFi project. Still got the same cyber security issue. But the good thing is like you can easily fundraise money. Nowadays, you want to launch your own new game studio. In traditional game, at least you need to raise like more than 10 million or 20 million US dollar. But in Web3, by blockchain, is like you can easily fundraise money from globally, not just the investor from your local area, right?
Because Web3 is seen as a global sort of trend, is it?
And also it's like the Europe fund, the US fund, the China fund, the Southeast fund, like Singapore fund, all the Web3 venture capital, they already get used to invest project globally.
You talked about the launching, the challenges, right? Some of the challenges. Tell us about, the listing rules. So, for example, you mentioned in your reports that 20% of the centralized crypto exchanges that you monitor, 20% are in quarter 3, I believe, are GameFi type of projects, right? So, is there any sort of differences when centralized exchange look at some of these GameFi projects and whether to list them versus a DeFi project?
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference. It's like for DeFi project, the key measure indicator usually will be more from the financial perspective. How many asset is deposited in the DeFi project, right? And how much trading made by the DeFi project. So just think about a bank, right? The key thing is not how much user you have. The key thing is how much money you store.
Assets under management or something like that.
Yeah, so in Singapore, you only have few million, right? But why it's so important? Because so many assets managed by Singapore fund. But in GameFi, the number of the player will be more important in the GameFi project compared to the DeFi. Because usually most DeFi projects, they don't have few million custom base.
Correct.
Usually they
That's
have
right.
like
Exactly, yeah.
10,000
You're right.
or 100,000.
Yeah,
That
right.
will already be a huge DeFi project. But in a GameFi project, we can think about like Axie Infinity,
interesting.
3 million address, right? In Steppen, another popular one, they have the peak time more than 1 million daily user, right? So when you're listing a GameFi project compared to a DeFi project, the user base will be important.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing will be the sustainability, right? Some DeFi projects like Uniswap or Compound, they are kind of like as a infrastructure. The business model will last forever. Just like in our time, bank exchange will never disappear. Most games we play when we are young, they already disappear. And that means if you are investor or you spend a lot of money buy the asset in that game, in the GameFi project, if they are not sustainable enough, they may disappear in 3 or 5 years.
That's right.
So in the traditional game, I think 90% of the game usually lasts less than 1 year. So you play for a while, then you not play it, right? So the listing people will also think about, okay, whether this can be as successful as Fortnite, right? Fortnite can already last many years, right? And I think that's the different measure.
Right, interesting. Okay, so it's a metric that you track in your D-game platform as well. How many users, how many active players?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's important because a sustainable game that easily you can see from the data size, like more and more new people coming, try to play the game. And the active user become kind of stable and or keep increasing, or even when after few they keep decreasing but still have a large sustainable user, right?
Right, okay, I see. So talking about sustainability, now looking at your report again, Q3 compared to say the Q1 report, your analysis of the GameFi industry, you talk about from a funding perspective, you say that, independent games, studio games, and I believe the last one is platforms, right? Well, attracted the most funding in Q3. But in Q1, you talk about independent games, studios, and metaverse. Now, I noticed that metaverse is, of course, like, a buzzword that is, people are talking about. So I'm curious why it disappeared from Q1 and it's replaced by something else in Q3.
Because last year is a bull year for the GameFi industry or also the blockchain industry. So in the bull market, the investor will be much easier to invest in a game, right? But in the Q3 right now, we already become a fully bear market. So in a bear market, there are only the long-term investors stay. Right. For the long-term investor or the professional investor to stay, they usually will look for the project that can really last for many years or will be the next key infrastructure. So that's why more infrastructure or the more platform like us, they will think about this infrastructure or platform will still be important. So they prefer infrastructure and platform in the bear market, and then in the bull market prefer to invest in a game, right? So I think that's the reason why.
I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, reading about Facebook and it's now rebranded as Meta because they're investing so much money in metaverses. So I was just curious why, metaverse sort of dropped out from the Q3 report. So just one last question. So looking ahead to the future now, the GameFi industry, as I understand in your report, is market capitalization. Looking at the current token value in this bear market, it's about 4 billion, right? And then Bitcoin, of course, is 100 times more than that. So, what are your views about how GameFi will develop? What is the future?
Yeah, I think I have a positive view and also have a negative view. Yeah, I think the positive view is like the GameFi help a lot of traditional games fundraise money. New game still come out, they can get the money and develop the game, right? I will estimate annually, I think there will be 100 to 200 GameFi project finish fundraising. Last year more than 200. And in the future, annually, I think it will be few hundred projects finish fundraising. So the good thing means the whole industry will be more and more GameFi projects come out. And I think that's the good view. And benchmark last 2 years, we see the highest market value is developed by Asset Infinity. At the peak time, it's almost like 30 billion. 30 billion is already a huge market valuation because, for example, like the EA or some other top traditional games, still usually their market valuation is around like 60 billion, something like that, right? So that means there's a huge business opportunity for the GameFi industry. I think that's the
optimistic view you have.
Positive view on it. But the negative view on it is like because the industry is still so early and the infrastructure is not ready. And another thing is also the regulation side. So when a market is so easily create a project with a token go beyond like 10 billion market valuation, there will be a lot of speculation. There will also be a lot of pawns inside there. Just like what happened in the internet time, right? Before 2000 year, there are a lot of bubble inside. So there will be similar lot of bubble in the GameFi project. The early user of the GameFi project maybe will lose some money due to the bubble or pawns. So I think that's the negative view, but I think that's the natural trend whenever a new industry come out. So the regulator and the government need to set up the rule, set up the regulation.
Yeah, I think, the interviews like what we are having today is also hopefully help to raise awareness of people about, some of these Ponzi schemes going on and to beware of jumping quickly into investment without doing a due diligence, right? Yeah, so, right, okay.
That's why the game help do the due diligence on the project also.
That's right. Yes, you do, of course, due diligence, yes. I would be really interested to understand your due diligence process, but I think we are running out of time, so maybe another day. But thank you so much, Lester, for your time today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time also. Thank you for the audience.